Home for me was always coming home and Mum would whip up a really good feed, and it was always just this great sign of relief that you're finally home.
Home for me is when I'm surrounded by my friends and family and the safety and warmth that I feel with them.
Home is a big, loving, warm embrace. It's familiarity, nostalgia, childhood, innocence, compassion all in one. It's just like a big, warm bundle you can, home's beautiful.
Home's less a place for me and more where my family is, and it's where I can be myself.
It's a safe place where I can just wind down and relax and, hide away from the world sometimes and just refocus myself in my room.
For me, home is going to the beach and having conversations and connecting with other people.
For me, home feels like just a place where I can go when I just want to share my thoughts and feelings and just be really comfortable with everything.
Some of my favourite memories of home are listening to music with my dad and cooking with my mum.
My favourite memories of home are probably when I first moved in. Everyone was there and it was also the house that my nan picked out before she passed away. So it's a really good memory to have in my mind that my nan picked out a house that she thinks that we could live in forever.
God started feeling like home for me when I joined the youth ministry class, and I was just able to connect with him better and understand the teachings and everything better.
Well, there's been times where I've just prayed to him because I've had burdens on me or I've felt a pressure on me, and then I've just felt relief after I've prayed, and he's just given me those moments of just freedom.
When God became my home was when I first joined my youth group. My youth group became my home just like that. It was an instant connection with everybody, and I just felt God's presence there.
The time I felt God become my home was probably during Year 10 retreat, when I was able to, be myself and just experience some more in-depth faith than what I'm used to.
When God started feeling like home for me was probably when my auntie was diagnosed with leukemia, and I thought I needed to do something because she was just getting so weak. And so I turned to God and asked him for help, and look what happened. She's all good now, so that's why I believe in him so much.
I felt like God became my home when I became comfortable praying and talking to him. I found he was a place that I could really go to when I couldn't talk to other people. I've always had people who I can talk to, but it's just an extra step, and it really helped in my relationship with God.
A time God felt like home was when I was a little kid. I was 6 years old. It was my first time going to church. We walked in, we sang songs, we prayed, and I got told stories about Jesus and God. I'm like, man, this God guy sounds really awesome.
I think God started feeling like home for me when I joined the youth ministry class this year, and when we first started talking about Shine and Ignite, and I started realizing how close I really was to God.
God felt like home to me when I went to Mass one time during school, and there was just this really warm, forgiving feeling of everything that's happened and what's happening right now.
I think God became my home was when I was young and I was doing my first communion. And I remember first thinking, wow, I have someone I can talk to all the time, no matter what. It was freedom.
God started to feel like a home for me when I went to Shine last year because the atmosphere, and I met heaps of new people.
God's always been in my life. It just feels like he's there and I can pray to him when I want, so it's never really been a specific time. He's just always been there and felt like home for me.
For me, when God started to feel like home would probably be when stuff with health popped up with my cousin, and it was very much praying for her and also praying for the rest of my family.
Times when God felt like home for me was just what wasn't so long ago, just in the floods, felt really protected by him when the flood was coming, so.
God felt like home for me when I was in year 8 at Festi Christi and we went out onto the grass to pray, and even though the wind was blowing and everyone was saying it was cold, I felt warmth and comfort, and I've just never felt so at peace like I was home.
I feel most at home with God when I pray with my parents because I feel like my relationship with God grows closer.
I feel most at home with God when I'm listening to music, just relaxing in my own space and just doing my own thing and being able to be myself without any pressure.
I feel most at home with God when I go to church on Sundays because I feel like it's just a lot of silent time at church, and it's time for me to reflect on my week and to talk to Him on a personal level.
God feels most like home for me when there's beauty in nature or the atmosphere around me is just calm.
When I'm in my room by myself usually, and I can just feel His presence, and I know He loves me and He's just there caring for me.
God feels like home when I have a bad day and I come home and my sister's there and she helps me. She talks to me, asks me what's wrong, and I feel a lot better, and it just makes me feel like we're connected to God together.
Well, when I feel most at home with God is when I go to church with my nan, especially because that's His house, obviously, but because I know that He died for us and He accepts us as we are and He forgives us for everything that we do.